Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a fantastic Friday and a great week so far. Today we're going to be diving into Vechain. It's been a little while since we've covered Vechain. Certainly we know that we hadn't pulled back on the last update, so we're going to cover what happened yesterday. Really the reason that Vechain pulled back yesterday was due to Bitcoin in the market. The market pulled back, Bitcoin pulled back, and Vechain followed. So we're going to get into a number of things in this video, like how the upgrade, the POA 2.0, which is their proof of authority consensus mechanism upgrade, is going. We're really going to be diving into the charts, taking a look at a macro and a micro view, pulling up some Fibonacci's to show you where this retracement is, and you actually bounced off a pretty key level that you would expect to bounce off in an uptrend. So there's a lot to cover in this video. Let's take a quick look at where Vechain is today, ladies and gentlemen. Vechain is currently sat at 14 cents, up 13.5% on the daily as the market has kind of seen a recovery. What I also want to do is really take a look at Bitcoin in this video, because essentially the entire market sold off yesterday due to Bitcoin, or the past sort of prior 2 days due to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is in a bit of a weird place in relation to the fact that you've got some not so bullish structure setting up. You sort of invalidated this yesterday by continuing to fall down. We're going to talk about a lot, so strap yourselves in, guys. What I'm going to do quickly is make my face a little bit smaller so there's more of the screen and less of me. I'm sure you guys will appreciate that. Let's start on the sort of more immediate time frame. Now, what we essentially think is taking place for Vechain is you're making your way to new all-time highs. And one thing you can tell via Vechain's history is that it's a bumpy road, guys. Vechain is a very volatile asset within the crypto space. Crypto is volatile as a whole, but Vechain moves up and it moves down. So what I want to do is I want to pull up our Fibonacci tool, and we've been using Fibonacci's. We certainly used it yesterday to give you guys a bit of a representation of what's going on. And I really want to point something out here, ladies and gentlemen, and that is this 0.618 level. This is the golden ratio. We've got the 0.65 here, which is the golden pocket. And you can see that you bounced off this beautifully. Now, this is a very good indication. Fibonacci's are essentially quite a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everybody uses them, certainly traders use them, and they'll go long and short based on the Fibonacci level. So that's essentially what you saw take place here. Let's zoom in a little bit. You saw this fib come into play, you know, this 0.618 fib, and you see a beautiful bounce from it. You are getting rejected from this EMA on the 4 hourly, the 20 EMA, which is a typical, EMAs are good to show relative strength and relative weakness within a market. So there is still the potential to come down. One thing that I would potentially look for is, if you do reject off this, look for this 0.5 mark, the halfway mark, which actually isn't a Fibonacci number, before you get that continuation. But Vechain essentially is on this journey back to new all-time highs. And that's what we are going to see. You guys know that we have our kind of macro Elliott wave theory structure at play for Vechain, which incurs a 5-wave structure, and we're on that 5th wave, and we believe this is going to take you to $1 plus. That's on the horizon for Vechain. This is largely all dependent, though, on the market as a whole. Yesterday, for a number of altcoins, we said that a bounce was coming due to the RSI. You can see that Vechain's RSI isn't quite at this kind of floor that it has over here, but this is kind of, you know, if you look at when you start these kind of waves, it's being your 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 wave, 4th wave, and you're now on that 5th wave that I think is going to follow this trend and top out somewhere up here before we enter potentially a bear market. Nobody really knows what is going to ensue. But you know, you're on this 5th wave, and this is really where we're getting these new all-time highs from. And on a short term, you've bounced off a very key level at 0.618, and this is typical. This is, you know, when you pull up a Fibonacci retracement tool, you're looking at how far are you going to retrace before you continue an upward trend. And if you retrace to a certain point, well, there's a good it's a good indication that potentially you are going to reverse that trend from an uptrend to a downtrend, etc., etc. So you're looking good on a number of fronts. This is all largely dependent on Bitcoin, and everybody, lots of different analogies going around here. This is essentially the big time frame. We're going to get into the Vechain update in a little bit more detail. I actually don't think that this is going to be a huge catalyst for the price of Vechain. I think in the long term it absolutely will, but I don't think that price is really dictated via fundamentals. If it was, Vechain would be a lot higher than Shiba Inu and Dogecoin. I think right now in relation to crypto, it's largely speculative. Vechain is going to do well over time and prove to be a winner in the long run. It's going to be a winner in the short term, but more so in the long run. And the the POA, proof of authority upgrade, is going to really come into effect in the future. Certainly as crypto becomes more mature and people start to look under the kind of hood at the underlying technology that drives these cryptos. So this is Bitcoin. You need to watch out for a number of things here. We've left the drill tool on. What I want to do very quickly is show you this rising triangle that I have for, or ascending triangle, sorry, I should say, that I have for Bitcoin. Potentially is the bigger picture. You know, you could be doing something like this where you're kind of looking for a break to the upside. So you still could see some more downside. I want to pull up the fib here, and you bounce very, very nicely in this last pullback, which has a lot of resemblance to the one that you're currently going through off the 0.5. If we look at the current move that we're in, you can see we have a similar thing taking place. You're very close to that 0.5. You fell quite short of it. What Bitcoin essentially did yesterday, and the reason I'm pulling up Bitcoin, if you're in altcoins, you need to pay a lot of attention to Bitcoin. Yesterday was a huge example of that. What I'm really was worried about yesterday as I was watching this, spent a lot of time watching the charts, was that we were going to form some sort of a neckline here. Now, we know we had the head and shoulders here. This was your left shoulder, this was your right shoulder. Bit of a complex one, you had your neckline here, or slightly higher than that, I should say, sorry. And essentially I was looking for the same thing to play out over here, and that's why I'm happy that we actually sold through this neckline and didn't sort of find strength and make maybe a weak recovery before then actually completing and going into head and shoulders. So you had head and shoulders over here. You also had one over here, or a variation of it, and you can see your neckline here, ladies and gents. Now yesterday I was spending a lot of time looking at this. You had your left shoulder. This potentially could have been your head, and you were toying around in this area here. And what I was worried about was that we were going to see a very weak and nominal recovery that would be significantly weaker than the left shoulder. If your right shoulder is weaker than the left shoulder, it can be quite a good indication that you are going to actually perform that head and shoulders, because it shows relative weakness. So what I was worried about was essentially a head and shoulders playing out. But what Bitcoin actually did was kind of invalidate this. You see this neckline here, by coming below it and not actually playing out and forming some kind of a right shoulder. So I'm very happy with that. Also, if you look at the levels that we typically bottomed out on, I'll pull them up again for you in the last pullback. It was around about the 0.5. If you look at the one that we're currently in, again, around about the 0.5. And if you want to draw it from here, you could say that you've pretty much met that 0.5. So things actually look pretty good. You can see you are now having sort of found a bottom here, coming up and rejecting off the 0.38. But ultimately, you know, the reason we're paying so much attention to Bitcoin, I'll keep you up to date on it. Certainly go and give me a follow on Twitter if you're not already. @RealAllInCrypto is the name of my Twitter. Is because ultimately, whatever Bitcoin does, your altcoins are going to follow. But Vechain, so far, so good, guys. You've bounced off that golden ratio, and you're looking to see more continuation within this uptrend that I believe you are now on, going back to our kind of macro Elliott wave theory that we believe is in play. If you look at your EMA as well, you know, you've kind of one wave, come back, two wave, come below it, started your three wave, occurring with you going back above your EMA and showing this relative strength. EMAs aren't the be all and end all, but they are good at showing relative strength and weakness. And then, you know, your third wave, your fourth wave, you've come back, and you're now on that fifth wave. And it's very typical, if you look over here, that you may come down and actually retest it before you get that continuation. So in relation to the upgrade that we've currently got going on, which is where the consensus mechanism actually continues, it's looking good. You know, phase one has essentially gone to mainnet. This is Huobi congratulating them. The upgrade, for those of you who don't know what it is, essentially is their consensus mechanism. So you've got proof of stake for other blockchains, you've got proof of work for Bitcoin, and then of course you've got proof of authority, which is Vechain consensus mechanism. I think there's around about 101 validators within this, whereas, you know, we have a lot more validators and nodes, or I should say nodes, sorry, in other ecosystems. And this could allow Vechain to be very scalable. There's a huge question about, or not scalable, sorry, eco-friendly. There's a huge question about centralization with Vechain, but I think ultimately, you know, I think a lot of people don't really care about what makes a blockchain so great and fair, and I think ultimately, you know, Vechain, they have a level of decentralization. It's just not as decentralized as the project. But I don't want to get into all that. But the point of me bringing this up is, you know, this is going to be a driving factor for the price of Vechain. The only thing is, I don't think it's going to be immediate. I've seen many other people talking about, oh, wait until we get this 2.0. I don't think they really understand how markets work. Markets right now aren't driven by underlying technology. They are to a degree, but largely it's hype and speculation. And back to my point on Dogecoin and Shiba. Dogecoin and Shiba are where they are due to hype and speculation. It's not technology. But this is good for Vechain. You know, they have partnerships daily. We've covered a lot of the partnerships. Vechain are very good with updating you on that. And this is just another crown, or another jewel in Vechain's crown, so to speak. So this is going well. It looks like things are rolling out fantastically. I'm still very, very excited for Vechain to start getting listed on some serious exchanges, because this is coming, and this is actually going to drive Vechain's price. Vechain's where it is today, having been kind of shunned by some of these big exchanges. Certainly Coinbase, I think Kraken is another one that they're not on. Let's take a look. If you go to Coin Market Cap, by the way, guys, you can actually come down and find out what exchange. Yeah, see, in comparison with a lot of other exchanges out there, a lot of other coins out there, Vechain is very seldom listed. So it's not on many exchanges, and I think this is also going to be a huge catalyst for the price of Vechain. So we're still anticipating the roadmap that we're on to take place, and for us to get to that kind of $1 mark to $1.50, somewhere in between that, I think you're probably going to top out, and before we see some kind of a prolonged, deeper correction. And certainly on the short-term time frame, guys, you're looking pretty good. I mean, that was very textbook. You can also see that you had support from this level previously, and you bounced, you're coming up. You just need to clear, get above these EMAs, potentially come back to retest it before we see that continuation. So new all-time highs are coming for Vechain. It's a matter of when, not if at this point. Hang in there, guys. I know these markets can be very trying and testing. This pullback, and just goes to show you just how volatile Vechain's movement is. Very, very quickly, I think Vechain's going to perform exceptionally well, and I'm going to show you why. We've shown you this chart before, but I'll pull it up just once more. We'll move to a longer time frame. This is what I think you're looking at for Vechain, and I think you're about to embark on this next move, which is going to take you above and beyond. You can see how Vechain outperforms, and this is just an example on Ethereum. It's actually present on Bitcoin and a number of other adversary charts, but this is what we're expecting. Vechain will play catch up. You know, it will let the market kind of outperform, and then it will kind of do a lot in a little, and this is what we're looking at. I think that's enough for this video, guys. Plenty of information crammed in. If you're looking to join the Discord, a link is in the description. I'm going to love and leave you on that note, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic Friday evening, or Friday, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And I'll catch you all hopefully in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, guys.